Underneath all that hype, the company was basically built on quicksand. The problem wasn't the ads or the brand recognition. It was the most fundamental thing, the business model. All right, today we are diving into one of the most legendary, most talked about stories from the dot-com era, the incredible rise and the even more spectacular fall of Pets.com.
You know, if you've ever read anything about the dot-com bubble, you've definitely heard of Pets.com. It wasn't just a company that failed. It became the poster child for the wild excess and ultimately the massive collapse of that whole tech boom. Its story is a classic cautionary tale.
And that's the real mystery we're going to unpack here. I mean, how does a company with a super famous mascot, millions of dollars in funding, go from a huge IPO on the stock market to just gone in less than a year? Seriously, 268 days.
So to really get how it all came crashing down, we have to first look at the incredible speed of its rise. You gotta remember, this company was born in the absolute frenzy of the dot-com boom, a time when it felt like any idea with a .com at the end could turn into gold.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's insane how compressed this all is. The company gets started in 1998, and by 99, it's already a household name. It goes public in February of 2000, and by November of that exact same year, it's over. That's the entire life of a major company, from birth to death packed into just a couple of years. It's wild.
So how did they get so famous so fast? Well, they pretty much had the perfect recipe for a dot-com sensation. They were absolutely swimming in cash from venture capitalists. They ran these huge marketing campaigns everywhere you looked. And of course, they had that unforgettable sock puppet mascot. Their goal was gigantic, to completely change how people bought pet supplies forever.
But, and this is a huge but, underneath all that hype, the company was basically built on quicksand. The problem wasn't the ads or the brand recognition. It was the most fundamental thing, the business model. It simply did not work.
And let's be super clear about what a business model is. It's just the basic plan for how you're going to make more money than you spend. That's it. And this is right where Pets.com had a fatal flaw.
So here's the absolute heart of the problem. On one side, they were selling stuff with really low profit margins, like giant heavy bags of dog food. But on the other side, the actual cost to ship that heavy bag to someone's house was enormous. When you add in the millions they were spending on advertising, the math just completely fell apart.
Let's put it even more simply. For pretty much every sale they made, the cost of shipping it and the money they spent on ads to get that sale was way more than the tiny profit they made from the product itself. The result? They were literally losing money on almost every single box they shipped out the door.
Yeah, with a business model like that, failure wasn't just a risk, it was a mathematical certainty. And after the company went public and got all that cash, the countdown to zero just got a whole lot faster. 9 months. Just let that sink in for a second. That is all the time it took to go from a massive, multi-million-dollar IPO, ringing the bell on the stock exchange, to telling the world they were shutting down for good. It is still one of the fastest corporate flameouts in modern history.
This quote really just says it all. The brand was powerful, right? Everybody knew that sock puppet. But a great brand can't save a broken business. The company was just bleeding cash, and going public just gave them a bigger pile of money to burn through even faster.
So the final unraveling was swift and brutal. They go public, but all that money doesn't fix the core issue. They're losing cash on every single transaction. By November, the investors finally realize the hole is just too deep to climb out of, and the company pulls the plug. By 2001, poof, gone.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Why are we still talking about this company?
Well, the story of Pets.com isn't just some .com trivia. It's a really powerful cautionary tale with lessons that are still incredibly important today.
First off, a famous brand is not a business model. It's not enough. Second, you cannot market your way out of a broken strategy. It just doesn't work. Third, growing really fast without actually making money isn't growth. It's just burning cash. And finally, you have to know your costs versus your revenue for every single sale. It's not just important, it's everything. It's Business 101, and Pets.com just failed the test spectacularly.
And because of that spectacular failure, the company's ultimate legacy is as a case study. It's the perfect example taught in business schools of what happens when hype gets way ahead of reality and when a company chases growth at all costs instead of sound financial planning. Which, brings us right to today. The dot-com bubble might be long gone, but that temptation for fast, flashy, unprofitable growth is still very, very much alive.
So the question I want to leave you with is this. What companies out there right now, maybe famous ones with tons of funding, might be ignoring these exact same lessons?